Thanks for your confidence, Dot. Fire. Beautiful fire. And a whole pile of fuck-ups to throw in there. Yeah. Hello, everyone in internet land. I am starting on a new project, and judging by the title, you'll probably know what this is going to be, but this is phase 1 of a project that'll take about a month. But for all of you who have actually watched my video, yeah, there's about 8 of you, I'm going to give you a little update, a small little tease. Just imagine the 2001. Dun, 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 boom, doom, 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 doom. She's a little bumpily. There you go, now you can't tell. Yeah, hello kitty. Look at that mug. This is that first mug that you saw me doing. And there's that line I was talking about. There's little spots and there's everything in between. I made a boo-boo on this. You might be able to tell. And I have to fix that. So that's why it's drilled out into nothingness. But there's those pieces that we clamped together. There's that lip and top. The topper came out real nice, and this gift for somebody, they'll actually have it by the time this video is published, so I don't mind recording it now. But I did 2 mugs. Ooh, look at this other one. That is a beautiful color wood. It's ridiculous. But what is this, you may ask? What is the theme of this? Which makes the interesting inside pretty interesting. There's a couple of little bits in there. But yeah, look at that. Look at that. It's ooze. Look at the ooze. Yeah, it's completely sealed. So that's just a unique element to the bottom of this. All right, that's enough showing off. Ooze. All right, so this is styrene, a form of plastic. It's got several names. You see them used in modeling. Variants of this are sometimes used in 3D printing. This particular version are flat sheets of styrene that are designed for modeling. You cut out your shapes, you put it against another shape, you create boxes, curves, or whatever, and you handcraft models out of this. It's a very interesting substance, but it is not glued together. It is cemented. ABS plastic. So this plastic works by bonding similar plastic items together. And what it does is it melts it a little bit, liquefies the plastic, and then they start to get tacky and they stick together. It takes about 30 seconds for it to completely cure. This is very toxic, smells very bad, and evaporates very quickly. So I'm going to do exactly what I shouldn't do and use it in mass over the entire area. I'm creating a laminate sheet here, just like I do with my wood, because I'm trying to get to 1/8 of an inch thick. I've got 3 layers here so far, and yeah, they're already sealed together. I don't have to do the whole thing, because some of these parts I'll be able to go back and add some more glue, and some of the parts don't need it. Here's where we make the movie magic. Watch this. This is a pouring technique. You get the top or a stem like this. You could do this with a dowel rod or whatever, and you pour this down this, so that way it doesn't travel down the lip of the glass and go down the side. Ever had that happen? It's annoying. Okay. Okay, what I've got here is blank or my outlines, and these little outlines are going to tell me where I need to cut when I start cutting all of this out. So, minor adjustments here and there, pushing things around a little bit. Yeah, just to make sure I got the optimal amount of space and everything fits, and well, it does. Here's something that I haven't told you yet. These sheets are 4/100ths of an inch thick. They're pretty thick, in all honesty. It's thicker than hair. And put that up later. And each sheet is 4/100ths of an inch thick. 1/8 of an inch is 0.125 inches in decimal places. And 3 of these will equal 0.120, because 0.04 times 3 is 0.12. So I put the 4th one on there, and that equals 0.16, which is pretty thick. A little bit thicker than what I need. So now I'm going to use this as the base line and cut everything out from it. But when it comes to these, the entire area is 3/8 of an inch thick. So I have some different sized sheets that I can use. So 0.16 minus 3/8, which is like 0.125. Oh, Jesus, terrible. 0.375, 0.160. These two need to subtract. .215. Oh, our decimal point's in the wrong spot. There we go. Oh, wait. Okay, so I needed about 2/10 of an inch thick. I have various sizes from 0.8, 0.08, 0.04, and some other sizes. Oh, and here's my thingy. Styrene sheet. That's pretty good use of space. The reason why I did two, because these are so small that this big old sheet, I had to have a sheet this long. That's the problem. And because I had to have one that long, the only way to utilize the space properly is to have two of these because they're so honking huge. And that means that I'm going to have a second staff hanging around. Who wants a Chitauri staff for a giveaway? Huh? Yeah. Okay, so real quick. Oh boy. A couple of things that I'm working on right now. I've got two boards here. This is the handle, and this is the blade. So funny enough about setting this up, as you can see, one was just a trace, and this one is, it's paper stuck on here. And this is that plastic, and you may wonder how I got this to stick to the whole thing so well. I only used wood glue in the glue stick form, the washable wood glue. It goes on purple, and then it dries, and it's been perfect. In fact, it's torn the paper, it's been so well. The good news about it is it's washable. So if I tear all this off and I need to clean a piece, I just take water and it'll clean it up just fine. So I've got my 4 layers on here and they're ready to go. So I'm going to cut these on the bandsaw. Right now, my bandsaw is equipped with the wrong tooth. This is about, I want to say 9 or 6 teeth per inch. Scroll blade. It's a very thin blade. No, this isn't even plugged in right now, so it's not going to turn on. So this very thin blade is going to get changed out to another blade, but I need to cut one of these first because that saw is set up for the wood. So I'll cut the wood out, swap the blades for a higher, like a 14 tooth per inch blade, and cut the plastic. And then I'll have 2 sets of pieces ready to go. Here's a little behind the scenes you don't see every day. The guts of the bandsaw, and the blade has been taken out. It's actually right here. There's focus. There's the blade, and here's the blade I'm replacing it with. You can see there's a terribly huge difference between the blade types. And if you're wondering what this little yellow stuff is caked in there, right there, that's brass. This is my brass blade. I use it to cut the brass that I did for the Master Sword. And it's a little overkill for this project, but it's kind of what I got. Okay, good news and bad news. The good news is it cut like butter. Really well. These pieces came out like a charm. I'll do a little close-up right here. This is the edge. Remember, that's 4 pieces glued together, and that's how they're supposed to be. Almost indistinguishable if this would ever focus. But not all the pieces came out like that. That one was really darn close. Let's see here. We're getting a little bit of separation here. That's to be expected because I didn't do a completely good coat. If this was like the normal hardboard that I was laminating, I would have made sure every square inch got glued, and this was not going to happen. But there is some separation in here, and that's going to have to be taken care of before I continue, or I'm going to have a problem like this. Complete separation. So complete separation means that if I cut it out, I'm just going to have more pieces, so I don't want to do that. Right. So I'm happy. Let me show you the mess. Camera flip and a finger. All right. So here's the white mess that was caused by that blade. It's mostly fine, which is good. It's heavy. I'm not wearing a respirator when I did this. I probably should have. This blade is a little thick for doing scroll cuts, so I've got odd angles like that. It's not going to get all of the detail down in these grooves, so I'm thinking I'm going to do rough cuts with this And then I'm going to switch to my scroll saw, which should be just fine. So yeah, it's not just a magical device that does hard work so quickly. It's your best friend. Thanks, buddy. Let's get the whole thing in frame. So you can see it's pretty small. These are actually the things that reach out and go around this blade piece. This part right here slips in to this part where my thumb is. Alright, so these are going to be glued on the outside like this, and then I'm going to clamp them together, and then I'm going to dowel them. So that's the next step in all this. So I don't blame you if you're mad, because I did a bunch of cutting without putting it on film, but I took some other outlines from this that I cut yesterday. I haven't doweled it yet. The dowels are going here. See, it's glued together and it sat all night, so it's ready to go. Then I just used the outline, traced them to make the forms for the handle. That's all foam. So that's how it's going to go together. That's how that one's already done. I wanted to go over a small thing. I use an inexpensive knife to cut. And as you can see, it is not clean. It has gone through a lot, and I use it to cut a lot. And the blade is sharp, so I use one of these. Got this off of Amazon, and I just sharpen it every now and then to make sure it stays sharp. But when you cut foam, this is the scrap piece. This is the piece that I'm throwing away. But when you cut foam, focus, you always want to look at your cut edge. Come on, focus, right here. There we go. You want to look at this edge. There we go, now you can see it. When I did this, that was 2 passes. I took the knife and went through the line, and then I did it again. The first line will guide the second line, so you get very, very good cuts off of that. If you cut a lot of cuts onto a line, you start getting problems like this. Now, this happened because it was on the edge, and that's kind of hard to do without doing a lot of passes, since I have a dull knife. If I had a sharp one, a sharp thin knife, this could be done in one pass without too much of an issue. So while that one dries, I'm going to go outside and cut these. What I'm doing here is going for what's called low-hanging fruit. I'm going to make a cut on the easiest spot there is to make a cut at. So I'm starting here, and I'll just keep going around to the next easiest cut there is to make until I can no longer make an easy cut. Which is why on these, I'm not making those inside cuts. This cut and this back cut. I'm going to switch to the scroll saw for those. But yeah, just continue with easy, low-hanging fruit. The easiest cuts. So whoop, whoop, and then across, you know, you just Make it simple. Whatever's easiest, do first. Okay, so a lot of these are done, and I did print out a couple of extras so that I can have some more. So I've got all the base forms done, and I actually have my glue up done. Most of the glue up. I have one more step to do on the glue up, but before I finish the glue up, I'm going to have to do something else. It involves this table here that is now currently occupied by this floating shelf. I make floating shelves on the side too. So I'm going to have to put that somewhere. It's a project that needs to be finished so I can get moving on.
Christmas.
Holding it here this long is actually my hand is getting hot.